Hello, welcome to my podcast. It's a little nerve-wracking, gotta be honest. I know the audio quality might not be perfect. I'm struggling to set this all up by myself, but you know what? I think it's good enough. And if it sounds a little, what's the word? Not as professional, if there's a hum of the computer in the background, may it be soothing. Do you know what I mean? Because we're tired of this manufactured world anyway, right? We want realness. We want people. We want feelings. There's a lot of feelings out there, isn't there? On that note, narcissism, feelings. You might think narcissists don't feel, but in fact, they feel so deeply and they're cut off from the flow state. I mean, I'm sure they reach their own flow state in their own mind. And this isn't to just like demonize people. And also, I'm not necessarily talking about people with like antisocial personality disorder, which is like clinical narcissism. Because let's be honest, these people are not going to therapy. They don't have psychiatrists. They're different. There's narcissistic personality disorder, and then there are narcissists. What are they? How do they become how they become? Really, when you break it down, it's quite simple. The brain, for about the first 7 years of life, is still forming a personality, right? And it needs a certain structure and a certain learning a cause and effect of life. And a lot of it is emotional regulation. And I've been thinking about this. This might be a good way to describe it as I've been setting up for this podcast. My dog, bless her, she's so needy. She is so needy. She's sitting at my feet right now. And I'm just kind of rubbing her with my feet because she gets whiny. She's a pit bull. They whine. I don't know if you knew that. Pit bulls, they're just giant toddlers. And part of it is I know she's spoiled because I what's the word? I tend to her every little whiny whim. You know, that's okay. She's well loved. She's not a bad dog. She's a really good dog, actually. Everyone that loves her meets her. And I do know that that's my fault. Like, she's needy and whiny because I give into it. But it's not, giving into where she's actually, really spoiled and because she's a pit bull, right? They can get dangerous. They also need to learn emotional regulation in their own way, cause and effect. Sometimes you can't get what you want, and that sucks. But that's not the end of the world, you know? Humans, we evolve. It's not the survival of the fittest. Darwin never meant survival of the fittest. He was talking about adaptation of the species, right? And it's probably like kind of a good example of why we have such a problem with not just narcissism, but I guess emotional dysregulation as a whole, is that we really are on the leading edge of thought. Everything has been manufactured for us up until this point. And now we have to be the ones to manufacture, but in a new way. And I think you'll find it's much easier than you expected. It's way less scary than you expected. It's just new, right? It's just new. We gotta just try it. Be brave. Get out there. Get out there and show them what you got. So, today's topic, liar, liar, pants on fire. Why do they lie? Why do they lie? What's up with that? So, Peter Moon. Bear with me. I'm going to open my drink really quick. Is this a pop top? Oop, I don't want to break that. I have a Jamaica ginger beer to calm my nerves while I do this. That's my adaptation. I need something in my hands. Something. You know what? I'll save that for later. Back to where I was. Peter Moon, aka Peter Garantano, who is the real author of those Montauk books. Yes, Preston Nichols gets all the credit. But I've mentioned this before. Peter Moon kind of lolcowed him. He saw someone that was very manipulatable, and that's how narcissists operate. They don't have the same kind of thought processes as we do. They're so emotionally unregulated. Oh, back to my dog. So it makes me think of my mom, who was also a narcissist. I know it is a buzzword the past couple of years, but I promise you, I learned about narcissism in therapy over 10 years ago. So it's annoying when she's whining, right? And I'm like getting frustrated. I'm like, all right, what do you want? What do you want? At some point, you're like, what? What is it? And I just you have to take yourself out of whatever you're doing for a moment and be with another being, right? In this case, my dog. I don't think my mom knew how to do that. All she knew was how to label things. You are whiny, you are this, and it's everybody else, because they can't take accountability for anything because it's shame-based. They don't know how to sit with being wrong. And in their first 7 years of life, they were taught over and over again, because these things are programmed, right? Our minds are computers. Our minds are just computers. And they become programmed. And we can reprogram them. It's pretty hard to unprogram narcissism, though, to this extent. It becomes instinctual. This person's annoying me. They're being loud, and I'm trying to focus on something. Instead of, putting down what you're doing for a second, it's just labeling everything else as bad, right? Smear campaign. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I don't have a script. I don't have a guideline. I do everything in the flow state. In fact, when I try to do it in a normal way, in a societal, constructive, this is how you do it, this is the instructions, this is the box, you fit in the box, you say the things, right? I've never been good at that. In fact, I've been on the internet so many times throughout, like, the internet history, but I kind of backed out. Like, I was almost a mommy YouTuber. Oh my god, I backed out when I felt weird. Trusted my gut, and I'm glad I did, because it got weird. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I'm not good at following the box. I can't follow a script. I feel stupid, especially if I'm talking about my own life. It feels narcissistic. It feels fake, because that's what narcissists do. They study us, and they know scripts, and they know what kind of things evoke emotion in others and empathy. A lot of it is feigned empathy. They can't really feel it. So, smear campaigns. Peter Moon. Part of why I just know it's all bullshit is just learning about the interactions between him and my father, and how my father has been spoken about, according to Peter Moon. And again, I know a lot about narcissism. I've been studying this for a really long time, just to have a better understanding of my own life. Because again, my mom, like, I had to break up with my mom and move across country. The no contact thing, been doing that. I mean, she's dead now, but you have to. But the smear campaign. So I'm going to pull up this article I found from, she calls herself Montauk Girl or something. So for background, this whole thing started at the Long Island Association for Psychotronics, where they all used to meet up and talk about psychotronic stuff, right? Exactly how to explain that, I don't know. Crystals and stuff, you know what I mean? Bear with me, I'm pulling this up here. So what happened was they were getting really into it at all these guys at the Long Island Association for Psychotronics, and somehow this idea about the Montauk Project came up. Now, in this group also was Duncan Cameron and I think Al Bielek. I'm not sure if they were, like, both there every single time at the Long Island Association for Psychotronics, but They were my dad's friends, and his colleagues, kind of. So I'm imagining them all there, right? And this is from Peter Moon. He told me what went down on Facebook. That's another thing. They don't realize how stupid they seem talking sometimes because they're so confident that their script is going to go over how they think it's going to go over. So these guys were all together talking about this thing called the Montauk Project that came up. And they were connecting it to the Philadelphia experiment, which is where Duncan Cameron and I'll be like, come in, which is experiments of time travel. That stuff, I believe, honestly, stuff like time travel is pretty basic to me. Like, I don't really need much to believe that it could very much be real. But I'm coming from a, what do you call, what's it called? My brain is right now. Quantum mechanics, quantum physics, kind of that kind of stuff, that angle. So anyway, they're at this group and they're blah blah blahing on, and it's pulling the topic all over the place. It's getting them off, like they're trying to really talk serious stuff, like great minds bouncing off each other. And they're getting so annoyed by this Montauk Project stuff that they hold a vote. And they voted to drop it. They're like, let's stop talking about this shit. It got that out of hand. People getting all hyped up. That they voted as a group to drop it. So then, Preston Nichols and Peter Moon, and I'm imagining it, Peter Moon had like a little gleam in his eye and went, ooh, cha-ching. I'm gonna, don't worry, Preston, I got you. I believe you, Preston. Oh my God, Preston. Oh, smart guy, but so easily easy to manipulate. And I'm sure Peter, his real name is Vincent Gargano. Vinny had dollar signs in his eyes, or just not even necessarily money, but it's power. They want social power. They don't know how to normally interact, right? They don't understand humans bouncing off each other, hurting each other's feelings sometimes, lifting each other up, because that's what we do. We're all humans. So they start their own group on the side. And Peter writes a book. And he puts in that book, some of this is fiction, some of this is fact. That's fucking stupid. Oh my God. And then, when a narcissist creates such a narrative that they know could be debunked by someone else or someone else's experience, the smear campaigns start. And what they try to do is get ahead of the story. They get ahead of the social chit chat. And they think, if I can implant this story before people figure out the original one on their own, like, I'm good, I'm golden. And that's pretty much smear campaigns. It's them hiding their own. They're like little dogs with their tails between their legs. And they hide behind smear campaigns. All right, bear with me. I'm still looking up this stupid article. George Dixon. What's her name? Montauk Girl? I hope you guys like the clicky ASMR. Here we go. I hate this so much, but I'm going to read it to you. This is called By George D. Montauk Boy. This is when he died, by the way. Thanks, bitch. Thanks, bitch. Here we go. This was posted June 18th, 2012. George D. died last Friday. I hear he was ill for a long time and finally succumbed. George was one of the Montauk boys and allegedly procured the technology for the Montauk chair. Back in the 90s and early noughties, I used to go to the Montauk Nights. That's their separate group, by the way. That's the thing that they broke off on their own to keep this bullshit going. And psychotronic meetings in Long Island, New York. Okay, it's on Long Island. Anybody from Long Island will tell you that. It's not in Long Island. It's on Long Island. You don't live in the island. You live on it. Here we go. He had PTSD trigger reactions. Parentheses. Peter Moon called them the, quote, time heebie-jeebies to me just about every time. So she's saying my dad had a PTSD reaction to seeing her. The ego on her. The very first time we met, Peter had introduced us. So keep in mind, she's getting all the information from Peter Moon. Anything she knows about my dad, she's getting it from Peter Moon. The first time we met, Peter had introduced us. After the initial greeting, George excused himself to use the restroom and never returned. He was probably pissed off. Like, what the fuck? Another time, the Montauk night was held in a different room in the building it was held in. A man entered the room, and Preston asked if he came with George, to which he answered he did, and that George was coming up right after him. I heard footsteps walking up the stairs. Then I heard them pause and walk down the stairs. George did not show up. Okay, so she's pretty much saying that while they were having their stupid little Montauk group, my dad was actually there. But another random guy came in first, and they said, is George with you? I said, yes. Like, but this is so fucking stupid. All right. Then I heard them pause and walk down the stairs. George did not show up. Third time, I was attending Richard Hoagland presentation, which George was helping with. I gotta look that guy up, Richard Hoagland. At the end of it, George walked up to me and apologized to me for not coming into the room at that last meeting. He told me that he was afraid of me. Then he just left. That was the most that he ever said to me. He had an abductee support group that I was interested in, but he didn't want me there. Yeah, 'cause you're fucking crazy, bitch. Okay, moving on. Keep in mind, like, this, you're speaking about my father. I'm hearing this, like, what the fuck? My dad was the most normal guy. I mean, he was odd a little bit. Like, he had very unique interests, but he was very much human. You know, like, this is so fucking weird. Where was I? The last time that I saw him was in the early noughties after a Montauk night at a diner. A group of us sat in a large booth. George was just across from me. I just asked him, how are you? I like how she added the word just. Like, I just asked him, how are you? And he freaked out. That's so fucking typical. It's always, like, the smear campaigns that narcissists spread are always so fucking typical. They're always saying you're out of control, you're emotionally unstable, right? God, all these things. Where was I? The only answer I got from him was laughter. Hysterical laughter. He looked like a deer in headlights. He just kept on laughing with that frozen smile and scared eyes. What the fuck are you talking about, you dumb fucking... See, I wanted to give you guys my actual reaction to this, to hearing people talk about my dad. Like, he raised me. He was a stay-at-home dad. I was with him alone all the fucking time. I don't know who the fuck you're talking about, but it's not George Dixon. I'll tell you what. Oh my god. Kept on laughing with that frozen smile and scared eyes. He was actually pretty expressive with his face, so that's just like a weird way to describe him. No. At another meeting, Peter Moon got to ask him why he was so scared of me. I was told that he replied, quote, she hurt me very badly in Montauk. This is crazy. Now, I had and still don't have any recollection of George. But, then again, I don't have much recall anyway. Only scattered bits and pieces and hints and clues and this. Bitch, because it's not real. It's not a real memory. Holy fuck. Well, there's going to be a memorial on a radio show that he was a co-host on. Here's the info on that show. And then there's a link to his old friend, what's his name? Leo. Blah, 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 blah. I'm certain he will be listening Friday night, and I hope all his friends will too. Well, that's all, George. Too bad we never really got to talk. I hope you... Okay. This actually fills me with a little bit of rage. I hope you do better in the next world. Who the fuck are you? Hope you do better? My dad was an amazing guy. His service, his wake, went on for fucking hours. The church packed. Everybody had so much to say about my dad because he impacted their life in such a positive, meaningful, moving way. He changed people's lives forever. He opened their minds to the possibilities of what could be. And everyone loved and appreciated him for that. What are you fucking talking about? I hope you do better in the next world? Who the fuck are you? Montauk girl? God, I don't know who this bitch is. One of Peter's friends. So, I don't know what, and that's the thing with narcissism too, with smear campaign, like, they get others so on board that they write entire fucking, what is this called, like articles, portraying people that they don't even know. She says multiple times, like, I've never really talked to the guy, but these are the tiny interactions I've had. And it's filled with all of these fucking emotionally triggering things to purposely to make you like, it's like a fucking short story. Like, are we writing a horror story here? Like, he heard them pause and walk down the stairs. George did not show up. Like, it was all this fucking necessary, bitch. Oh my god. Anyway, where was I gonna... Oh, yes. So, my dad, PTSD. I do believe he had PTSD. From Montauk? No. Same as the fucking rest of us. From an abusive childhood. That's why. From an abusive childhood. From doing the work and trying to... God, all these phrases are escaping me tonight. Like change the pattern. Stop the whatever, And he did good at that. My dad... See, my family... My mom, she tried so hard. Again, they get out, that's what narcissists do. They get out ahead of the story and they implant things in other people. So other people now have expectations of you without ever meeting you. And they're really sure of it because narcissists know how to be really convincing because they study other people and they copy it. And they become convincing. That's the thing. And then it's like you're left in the dark and you have to figure out the clues. Right? But they tried so hard to say that my dad was bipolar. I don't know if he's ever been diagnosed with it, to be honest. And he might have. But, God, even that, I don't want to get too much into it on this first episode, but, like, where's the border of, like, PTSD and bipolar and just emotional regulation type stuff? Like, if people had all the regulation tools, would they still end up getting a bipolar diagnosis? Do you know what I mean? Because he did get moody. My dad, he had his own Moody Blues. That was his favorite band, by the way, and one of mine. I love the Moody Blues. And like he would get. Keep in mind too, my mom was a narcissist. She was abusive as fuck. So he's trying to get through his own life with a, controlling wife and all that, mentally, spiritually. They'll spiritually abuse because they don't think of it as sacred. They don't think of spirituality as sacred. They just think of it as another thing to use to manipulate. And it's actually really easy to manipulate with religion and stuff like that. Because my dad had his faith. He loved God, Point blank, he did. He liked Jesus stuff. He wasn't... My mom was evangelical. My dad, no. But you want to talk about Christ consciousness. That was what my dad was about. When I was a kid, I used to get so annoyed when my neighbors' friends, like their moms would say, if someone hits you, you hit them back. And my dad would always say, like, that's not our way. But we're not like that. But no, you walk away. You know what I mean? And that used to bother me. But now I understand it. We don't fight like that. We let God take care of things. Or we, take care of ourselves if we need to. But do I make sense? I hope so. So there were times where he did get kind of scary. Like he would slam doors and stuff and bang around. Never once laid a hand on me. Never once. And if he ever seemed like he was going to get close to it, because backstory, his dad beat the shit out of him and his brother. Breaking the cycle. That's the phrase. Breaking the cycle. My dad cared a lot about breaking the cycle. He cared a lot about it. His mom was also known to be probably bipolar. But she was called just really fucking crazy. Like, that's how she's described. And they both drank. They both drank like fish. My dad used to drink. In fact, so I think I might be kind of his golden child in a way, but not in the stereotypical golden child scenario. I think it's only because I was his second chance. I kept him sober. And I talk about this in my book too. My cousin I feel went through a similar thing. That we were their second chance kids and they were not going to fuck it up. Right? And they got their lives together. So my dad, he didn't drink when I was like, I don't have recollections of that. Um, my siblings though, my sisters did. They're 10 and 13 years older, and our mom raised them. And by the time I came around, my mom was back at work, and my dad couldn't work anymore. He had disabilities. He had a lot of heart problems. So he took care of me at home. And they resent me for it. And it creates a lot of jealousy. And, I hope in time they can get over it. At least one sibling. The other one, just like our mom, I don't have hope in that. Again, like I was saying, it's really hard to undo narcissism like that, to unprogram that level, where it's like almost psychopathy. Don't get me started on my sister. I don't want to get sued, okay? Okay? I don't want to get sued. This is the scariest thing I've talked about thus far. But emotional regulation. My mom couldn't do that. She didn't know how to do that. You think she taught them how to do that? No. So I don't hold it against them. But my dad cared a lot. He's very in the moment. That's on consciousness. On being aware. He was very aware. Gosh, where was I? Bipolar, blah, 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 PTSD. Oh, yeah, also, my sister told me when he died, they found a picture of me in his wallet when I was little, like one of my old dance recital pictures. And that is tough. I would feel some sort of way about that too. But hey, years later, you know what? I was kept out of my mom's funeral. So I think if that's something to make even, I think we're even now. All right? I think we're even now. That is awkward. But I knew what it meant. Like, I know that was a reminder to him to stay sober, to keep it together. All right? These things are hard. But when we know who we are, when we own our own experiences, our own feelings, when we hold ourselves so accountable that we show up, what's the word? Fully transparent like this, these conversations become easier because we're not taking things as personally. We're just human, right? And I think part of this new era is just the bravery to talk about our feelings, to be ourselves. Because that's where all this work is done. It's done through the heart. And this I learned straight from my dad. I'm smiling so big. I know he'd be so proud. But that's how you get, if you want to be multidimensional, it's through the heart. If you want to manifest your dream life, it's through the heart. Emotions are the key. Joy, really joy is the key. But emotions are our guide, right? If it feels bad, don't do it. If it feels good, do it. That's my new rules for the fifth dimension, for this new world. I mean, of course, with everyone else in mind, like, don't go fucking people over because it feels like that's, no, we're not, I didn't say that. I hope this makes sense. Let's see, I've been okay, it's almost a half an hour. I'm feeling this wrap up. I think maybe we shall wrap this up. And I hope this made sense. And I hope it brought people some understanding and awareness and, further awakening to who you are. Because this shift stuff, it's not like you suddenly wake up. It's not like you're enlightened, right? And now you can go on talking to everyone else about how to become enlightened and do your kundalini thing and blah, 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 blah. It's a never-ending process. That's the fun about it. We're always growing. We're always adapting. We came here to do that. And it's really fun when you realize you can manifest your, like when you realize you can use your intuition and your emotions, because intuition and emotions go hand in hand. The problem is when we have all these other emotions clouding them up, shame, guilt. So it's good to sit with your shame. It's good to sit with your guilt. It's good to understand yourself. And it's good, in some sense, to humble ourselves before each other, right? Because we're all just as complex, deep, amazing, powerful human beings. And that's what it comes down to, is power and control. You can live in the flow state and interacts with each other in this given, sometimes you have the power and sometimes you add to someone else's power and you lift each other up, and we do this together. It is a co-creative experience. Narcissists, they feel locked out of that. They only know how to create it, to recreate it. They only know how to script it. And honestly, I pity them for that. But once you really understand that, you don't take it so personal, and then you're able to spot it easier and you're able to shut it down quicker or just walk away. Sometimes it's not your job to shut other people's bullshit down. Sometimes you just gotta walk away and focus on what you do want, because we have that power to do that. We can change our focus at any time. And I think that's pretty fucking cool. But anyway, I hear my dog softly whining. She's been a patient, very good girl for a long time. Yeah. And yeah, I feel pretty good about this. So I hope the audio level and everything is good, because I'm gonna be so sad if I did all this for naught. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Oh, also, the book, I'm just still struggling. I don't want to give a whole explanation of like why I'm struggling, but if you've seen my TikToks, like I've had quite the year or two or three. But I will leave links if you would like to support me to help me get some of this stuff done quicker. My book edits, I have book edits to finish. There are some typos. So if you get my book now, you have a limited edition. But honestly, I don't want you to. I would rather you wait. If you struggle with reading comprehension, I would rather you wait. And I don't say that to like look down on you. I want you to be able to absorb this book. So for people that speed read and can get a grasp of what the author's saying, they should have no problem reading it. But if you feel like you're not the strongest reader, don't get it yet. There's no rush for you to read it. There is a rush for me to finish it, but there's no rush for you to read it. So yeah, if any of you would like to help me out and support my work, I will try to leave some links somewhere, wherever the links are left to click on for my Venmo and Cash App and stuff like that. Because a bitch is pretty broke, but I'm trusting the process. All right, guys, I love you. Stay focused on. Just stay focused. Even if you gotta relax and chill out, focus on relaxing and chill out. Let yourself. Go play Zelda. That's what I tell myself. Go play Zelda. And then I sit there and beat myself up for daring to fucking relax. I have a Capricorn moon. The Capricorn moon people will understand. Okay, I've yapped enough. I'll see you guys later. Mwah.